Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cocking.
He's Captain Foley.
And we're here today to talk about Episode 8 of Season 3 of Lower Deck. Crisis Point 2, Paradoxus.
Movie sequel we've been waiting for since day one. Stuart, is the sequel as good as the original? What do you think?
There's a lot to unpack in this one, and I love every second of it. So many good tropes here, and things addressed. You know, stupid things. By the way, spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
The
Can't talk about that spoilers, Stuart, even from moment one.
The whole Section 31 having badges being stupid thing. I loved that. Laughed out loud. George Takei as Sulu. We got so many things addressed that some of the fans just think are kind of dumb. The whole Kelvin timeline comparison. Things like that were really great. Plus seeing ships like you got the Defiant, you got another Sovereign class. And the Romulan triplets, I mean, they were pretty great. So there's a lot to unpack in this one, and very, very, very cool, very exciting, fun ride. This one definitely, it was 27 minutes, a little bit longer than some of the others, which I appreciated. And can't say that I'm, upset about that in the slightest, because they almost needed more time, in my opinion. But the pacing was fantastic. I love the time travel issues. There was just some great stuff. I don't know. I'm so excited to talk about it. So that's kind of my take on it. How about you?
I don't know how I feel.
Oh.
I walked away being, I don't know. And probably after this I'll have more of a distinct feeling, after our live especially. And I went in with high expectations. That's always a bad thing. But I thought it was a little bit muddled. They didn't necessarily know exactly what they were trying to do. I think the ending helped a ton with the reveal, because otherwise that felt like a huge letdown, in that they set up this Titan story with Riker as a character, with Troy, with Boimler, and they didn't do a damn thing with it. And to kill off that Boimler, I thought was like, well, what's the point? Okay, good, they address it at the end, but that was such a disappointing. We got teaser Sovereign, got only a minute or two of Sovereign. That was a big letdown. We kind of skipped it straight away. The jokes were better, I thought, in this week. Like I said, the JJ Kelvin, the Section 31, the Vija joke. Those were all really funny. I thought it was actually one of the funniest episodes I've had for a while. But I didn't get the action adventure I wanted, and I got two that weren't great with some good visuals. But the meat wasn't really there for me. The end really, really helped. But yeah, I think I'm let down. Well, I'm not quite sure at the end of it, but yeah, not as good as I thought, and definitely not anywhere near the same deep emotional beat as the first one, where the Mariner vs. Mariner fight was superb, and the weight of her with her mum was really, really fantastic. This just didn't have that, and
I'm so shocked. I love that even he addresses the thing that you said about the first one, was this is just an excuse for her to kill all of her shipmates. The first one, and it was a fantastic adventure. We saw the Sovereign and the Cerritos cruising side by side towards a planet. I mean, and I love the time travel trope of going back to the moment and changing things. You can even notice the box is different. And the first time you see the box, you can see the crystal through it, and then the second time it's just closed.
I just wish that any of the time travels have meant anything. And they went back to random squid alien, Wrath of Khan, didn't mean anything. Australia didn't mean anything. And then I thought we might see Archer or Scott Bakula be at the, or even a double joke, could have had Riker be at the, they could have something fun with the end, with the Final Federation Charter. And they even joke about, what's that have to do with the squid? Oh, nothing, the Romans forgot about it, which is really funny, but by doing that in the story, you then don't have a meaning behind those scenes, really. Now, I get the fact that in the end it's about Tendi, you want to be a captain, but that comes out of nowhere. Although I love the chase sequence and the Trinity moment. I thought that was really, really cool.
It was a badly written holodeck movie by Boimler, who didn't even think it was very good. And that's the point. And it turned out to be something pretty. I love the holodeck trying to make things up on the fly. I even got a little Orville kind of reference in there with the Kitty Hawk and stuff like that. So,
to swap the trope of there's a written script, but the holodeck is an on-demand service, it'll change. I mean, that's very clever to say we're going to entirely sidestep everything that's real to this one random extra. And obviously, Marin as the audience exactly saying what that means. I think a lot of audience members wouldn't get. As in those that aren't huge fans wouldn't get. They would think, all holodeck is fully designed, but no, that they're nobodies. And so the holodeck's creating their story, which is really fun to see. But I thought the Vija reveal was really funny, and the fact that they just given platitudes, I thought was.
Like Nick Nack. I like Nick Nack. He was good.
Nick Nack.
My name is Nick Nack. Exactly my point.
Yeah, and then rescuing from Star Trek 5 was really funny as well. And then he turned out to be a big boss.
We learned Tilly wants to be a captain. She's never said that out loud before. Whoa, see? Exactly. Because it was the same kind of vibe as that. So, yeah. Tendi wanting to be.
Like, she's kind of swapped. I mean, yes, she did command-ish training, but a captain's a huge jump from command-ish. Like, Troy's doesn't want to be a captain because she did command training. These don't line up. So I think they kind of said, well, we're going to ignore that story and then, oof, now captain. I guess it's kind of the sense she sort of said it for the first time. She hasn't meant it before. Like, she's saying it, she's forced to say it in emotion.
Didn't bother me. I wish we would have saw more of the Federation Charter thing. Like, actually seen Archer or something. Would have been a chance to maybe have Scott Bakula back for just a minute to give a new part of the speech. Well, that's just part of the trope of some really badly written movies, is that some things just don't make sense. And time travel, especially, if you don't do it well, it could be kind of pointless.
It's just only 27 minutes. I want to see really good scenes, and when, by definition, they're pointless, it's like, well, you're...
I loved it. I thought the whole thing of Rutherford being excited to steal her clothing. It's like 1982. It was like a Terminator 2 reference almost.
Yeah, everyone was so in on the joke in this episode, way more than last time. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like I said, Rutherford didn't give a shit because he, you know, the idea of who cares, a holodeck. He was taken to one extreme and Tendy's taken the other extreme because you can also get into the zone of like, well, I'm trying to prove myself.
I was really impressed with the whole story structure, just the layering of it. I thought it was very cool. I first thought that Boimler got news that he got reassigned to a different shift because it was shift assignments or duty assignments. The reveal that it was actually William Boimler that passed away was like, ooh, really? And then you kind of thinking the whole time like, oh, that sucks. But the whole cliffhanger ending thing, I hate that. I hate when people do that. And him being in Section 31 now, I kind of rolled my eyes a little like, oh, here we go with this. But they saved it with the whole black badge thing because we've made that comment many
Everyone
times.
Has. Yeah. But they obviously feel locked into because Discovery did it once and then also ignored it. We've got to do it. It's like, well, doesn't make it right.
I do like their version of the uniforms though. They're on a Sovereign class ship, but they still have like lower deck style uniforms with the white stripe. I kind of like those actually, as a variant of the uniform. But
not to say they're based on, but they look very similar to what the Star Trek Hidden Frontier team did, the fan film group years ago, to kind of make their own, you know, classic yet unique variant. So it's a bit of style that we've seen before, but certainly it gave a crisp vibe. I think also part of it for me is that the first one, everyone was on board the entire film, like thematically, but the fact that Boimler was so down pulled the energy down for me for the episode until he was, like, his energy was contagious to me. He's like, well, if he doesn't care, we're not going to embrace the fun fully, and that's for a good chunk of the episode. And then he goes off on a side mission of who cares, literally who cares, you know. Although it was, again, it's funny that this Vixen, Star Trek 2 Vixen, which is great, visually beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, all those things. And she's like, oh, that's my subplot.
And TOS Classic Connie confirmed. That was great. The Connie and the Galaxy class on the
Stuart,
wire
the Strange New
thing.
Worlds Connie is the real Connie that exists in that timeline, and it's overrode the TOS Connie.
Obviously not.
Obviously not. Yeah. No, I was kind of expecting there to be a famous actor do the hello, and I am telling you about the Genesis experiment, like that vibe. Like, it was great, but that was such the obvious placement of, well, shit, there's William Shatner as Kirk doing a stupid, like, because he would get the joke of it being a joke, I think. And
I also expected that when you saw the TOS Connie in the Galaxy class, and then they did the space fold, time fold thing, that they would come back and it would be the Strange New Worlds Connie and like a slightly different or Galaxy class. That would have been absolutely hilarious. But they did reference the Kelvin thing with a separate alternate timeline played by people that look like different actors that look
and it
like
doesn't
younger
really
us.
make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's true, they're younger than they should have been in the time they would have been, and you don't do that by changing the timeline. Why is Bones younger for no reason at the time? He should be, yeah, good, makes sense. Although, did you notice that they, because like I say, they sort of ignored the Sovereign instantly, and so they didn't even bother doing a new bridge. It's just the Titan bridge.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Literally
really
the Titan
me.
bridge. It's got the Titan L cars. They didn't change a damn thing.
Yep, it's got a Titan MSD thing at the back, and it was really distracting for me, actually.
It was, yeah. You could kind of tell they're going to skip the Sovereign straight away if they even bother doing that, because it's really basic. But the space battle's great. I mean, the first scene is really, really fun. And yeah, they're having the Duras Romulan triplets. Inspired choice. And I love the kit bash of their bridge as well, because the only time I've seen a Romulan bridge in this era is the Sovereign bridge. At the end of Nemesis, they redressed to be the Romulan bridge. So it is. So I thought it was very knowledgeable as well. And I love I don't love, but I funnily like the Ronin Black Ops uniforms in camo. It's just dumb. I like it. It's stupid.
And the Kirk Farm solo Sulu reveal was kind of fun. I didn't really sound like George Takei to me. I did say
God, you say it every time, Stuart.
Oh my no, he says, and I'm like, is that really him? And I had to actually wait to the credits to make sure it was him because it did not sound like
sounded
him
like
at
him
all.
to me.
Yeah,
but
me.
I've met him more recently, and I know I met him before they filmed that. So I had heard his voice recently. I filmed with him for a museum. I mean, I certainly would have rather had Shatner, because if it's a Kirk Farm like that, I was like, oh god, they brought Shatner back, and it's like, oh, it's Sulu, which is great.
I like when it's like, no, it's Captain Sulu. He's like, it's even better. It's like, ooh,
like,
snap.
That's a bit of a harsh line. It's like, well,
a little bit, yeah.
And the fact that we didn't get a single like Sulu joke line, like at least answer one of those questions about the Boimler asks. You know, it's a beautiful scene, but it's so this. But the fun of it is very little. It's like, you've got George Takei back. That might be his last time in Trek. Do something really funny with it. Do something fun. Having George Takei feeding a horse. What a waste of him doing something, you know? Have him do something really interesting. I get it's a joke on Generations, but it's a bad joke to do on a bad joke.
Yeah, you don't always need that, though. I mean...
You don't need it, but it's like, is that it?
Yeah.
Just brought George Takei back after 26 years. I mean, what the ending means. I mean... Boimler's alive, double Boimler. I wonder if that was the knowledgeable reveal. I wonder if Mike knew going in, because if Rutherford stuff is linked to Section 31, as is other Boimler, maybe that ties in together. But since we didn't get any of him in Season 3, I'm not overly excited about a Season 4 because he's been so minimally in it. I don't know.
It's going to come down to Boimler needing to take over for this guy at some point.
Oh.
Or him being mistaken for him and being hunted by somebody. I think that's what it's leading up to. And, you know, Tendi can kick butt because of her Ryan Pirate training. Rutherford being tied to Section 31. They're tying all the...
Maybe, we don't know. Maybe.
They're tying all the characters kind of into something. And Mariner, of course, we know her history. She's involved with everything and everybody, so... Yeah, it's going to be something grand at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a like, ooh, reveal at the end.
Oh, there's such a stupid death. He just accidental gas poisoning in his quarters. It's like so low level Section 31 faking death thing. It could have been epic on a planet on an away mission. No, it was just silliness.
But it feels on brand, though. And speaking of, in that same scene when they explain it, I love that Ransom, because this isn't about Mariner at all. She's the audience character. The fact that Ransom, which is important to the plot, really, the grand plot of, you know, you've done great, like you're doing fantastic, keep it up. And there's no, and there's a weird sincerity between the two of them for that moment. There's no fighting, there's no confrontation. It's like, you've really excelled. Good job. Season 4, you might be a really strong officer. I was like, that's really sweet, actually. Good job, her. You know, pulled it around.
Yeah. And poor Stevens, man. Twice in one day, leaning against the warp core.
And was I in a coma? Try clinically dead. It's like, oh shit. God, there's so many good one-line jokes in this. And I did laugh out loud several times, but the biggest one I think was when we find out Ransom's best friends. It's the side weird characters and Matt. It's like, best friend's a dolphin. Yeah, I love that. It's a sweet posse. But because Lower Decks, they're keeping track of who the hell the characters are. So like, we know all those 4 people. Like, this is a real crew that we're really getting to know. It's just a stupid laugh out, like, okay, you picked. Although Wes Stevens, like you said earlier, like I know he's a lackey, but you know.
Did you notice the film grain that wasn't so subtle on some of the scenes? Like, wow.
Yeah, when it Rathaconned, it was like, and grain. I thought, God, those uniforms look good. I wish we had more of a scene on that. But I like the conceit that the Squid was actually a Starfleet officer or an ambassador. It's like, yeah, he's not a monster. He's the guy. It's like, oh.
And the algae crisis of 2341.
Although I was really, and this is me thinking of you, I was hoping that they would have said, oh, the Lost Era.
Yeah, me too. The thought crossed my mind.
It just felt like the framework that they could say that for whatever reason.
No wonder they don't talk about this time very often.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love the effect as well, and the origami and the way they explain it was dumb, stupid.
The chronogami.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, because the crystal looks like it's folded origami. Cool. And then she explains time, Chrono, and Gami because it folds time like origami. It's like, oh, really?
It's a fun MacGuffin, although I'm not sure how Tendi can activate it via the watch, given the watch is meant to track rather than activate.
No, it says it's got this. There's a line of dialogue that says it's got limited potential to travel. Yeah, when she puts it on his wrist, it's got limited. Yeah, so no, that's fine.
Okay, missed that line. It's quite dense, so that's fair enough. But it's a cool effect where, and definitely Terminator vibes from Sydney, definitely.
I just really love that the top secret document. Identify for retina scan. They didn't do that. But they did the rest, and the TOS Connie and stuff. I was like, yes.
And the Enterprise D, they got the right. Because I kept thinking about the Picard versions of the D getting stuff wrong. It's like, oh, they got dual shuttle bays are different. Like they got that right. Good job, I mean, they must have a Galaxy class model laying around somewhere. Low decks. It's a bloody wireframe. And Rutherford's line of, "Oh my god, the graphics are so good." Yeah, there's so many good one-lines in this. They really, really nailed it with humor in this one. But I was missing a Kirk or someone funny. Or even Riker would have made sense. Riker and like a Rathacon. Well, not Rathacon, but actually Riker would have made sense, wouldn't he? Or who else links to time travel that would have made sense in this era? Yeah, I was thinking Barclay. I mean, it was such a short scene. I get why, but that would have been really cool to have like someone hi there.
So yeah, I felt like really great watching that episode, and felt really good at the end of it because there's just so much there that I really enjoyed.
It is dense as hell.
It is
yes. Kind of insanely dense, but it's nice. Now they've designed things like the Rathacon costumes, etc. They can just throw stuff in a lot more willy-nilly now, and yet still a Sovereign. I'm wondering then maybe if we're going to see the Sovereign come back in the next 2 episodes, because that was a really, really good build for relatively short screen time. I mean, I don't know what the next 2 is going to be, but do you think maybe we're going to get Boimler payoff straight away? Be the next 2?
Honestly, I think he might be in the last episode, if at all, or just starting out the next season. I think that might be all we see of that Boimler for now. I think it'd be too much to saturate it right away.
It feels like such a mic drop moment that you could have a dual Boimler story 3 into 4. Because we have a new Section 31 in serious terms since DS9, because Discovery's a bit, their use of it is odd. So how will Mike address the secret Section 31 organization? Like, that's now a dangerous thing to give him. He can do anything smart with it. So what the hell is Boimler going to be doing?
There you go. Guys, what did you think of this episode? Comment down below. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our lives where we discuss these things and break them down in detail.
It'll be a long live, I'm sure. Which
we'll be doing later today. So make sure you tune in and make sure you're notified of all that stuff because we like hearing from you guys. We want to hear your thoughts.
And, as you can imagine, Stuart, we're going to do some ship videos because they throw us quite a few ships. Both are very canon, very not canon. We're going to look at them all because, of course, with renders, because they're all canon designs, we can just do that. So check out those, view them, share them, and spread the word. If you like seeing these things, let Mike know and the team because we want to keep seeing canon ships. So let them know by sharing our video on YouTube. Then they'll see it and like us more. And super chat, of course, in the channel lives and super thanks and any video and PayPal and Patreon, just Trekyards at Patreon or join the channel at Trekyards at this channel, YouTube, all things, guys, all things.
So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Coins.
We'll see you guys later.